Greetings to all of you, and I do welcome you to this broadcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's absolutely important that we keep you abreast of what's happening here in Guyana, South America, different parts of the country. Of course, I'm functioning today as one who's an agent, being a candidate, and one who has got responsibility to our people in Guyana, both at home and I should say also those in the diaspora. Because we need to know. And I'm so thankful for social media because this keeps us in the know, in the loop, in real time. So please let me know if it's clear, if you can hear me clearly, you can see me clearly, so that I can bring you these very telling reports, damning reports. GCOM, PPP, and not all of GCOM, I should say. Some in GCOM. You've been caught red-handed, even with the GRA. Well, that's no news to me. Right? And I have to monitor this broadcast, reference the comments and so on. Um, so it's clear. Excellent. You would want to share this broadcast with as many people as possible. Tag Melissa for me, please, Melissa and at well. Tag her so that she can be made aware of this and with the evidence I'm providing to you. Okay? It is becoming more and more desperate for the PPP, and they're becoming more and more dangerous. Reference to the things that they're doing. We want to show you the evidence of what can only be illegal, unlawful, and criminal activities. And the PPP, as well as their agents, must be able to answer. That is why Guyanese have to stand to protect the integrity, to protect the sanctity of our country, the sanctity, the our national well-being lies within our hands today. Please let me listen now. Five and two media, Kian, Francis, and others, that something significant is being reported here that we must get to the bottom of. Vishnu Prasad must give account. If Keith feels before the court, I don't know where Vishnu would be. Where else should Claudette be? Where should Anil Giddings be? Just the same way they did in 2020. I don't hear Anil calling for these people's uh, prosecution. I want to show you Guyana's reality. And you know me. For 5 years, I've always come to Guyanese with facts, what I call irrefutable, meaning you cannot contend against it with anything. I don't just yap, yap, yap. I come to you with what is called evidence and to show you that there is trouble afoot in this country. So now that we're here, let's go to the first one because I have a very hectic day. I'm popping in and out the studio to keep you abreast of what's going on because you need to see this. Evidence, then law. Look at this. Kalimuthu Sankar. So this is a driver's license. In order to obtain driver's license in this country, you have to provide certain bits of information to GRA. Okay? Look at Kalimatu. Lot 724. Look at the address. 724 Industrial Site Great Diamond, a PPP stronghold as they call it. Let me show you what happened in this stronghold. The date of issue of online in red. March of 2025. This year, March. So if you count March, April, May, June, July, August, 5 months ago. 5 months ago, Kalimuthu Sankar, an Indian national, was issued with a Guyana's driver's license. But that's not the trouble. The trouble is that if you look at classes, you see ML, which is motor lorry, MC, which is motor car, and MT, motor truck, motor tractor. So this fella is in Guyana and he got his license in March of 2025. Now let me show. I show evidence, not talk. So let's have Kalimar and the PPP. Let's have them to see how corrupt they are. In Guyana, to obtain a motor vehicle license, lorry license, which will be the ML motor lorry, which covers heavy goods vehicles under G series. The law requires that the applicant be at least 21 years old. Look at this one here. Next bullet point. Have a valid driver's motor car license for at least 2 years. For at least 2 years. And you must be able to write and read English language. This fella, the law says for at least 2 years. This fella here got his license 5 months ago and he's licensed to drive a motor lorry. 5 months ago. And he's licensed to drive them. They cannot tell me that they're not involved in fraudulent activity. So let's, okay, fine. Let's go to the other one. Ruplal Mato and Vish, who? Vishnath, not Mantu. Given out two IDs to vote in Guyana's elections. Issued in June, Ruplal, 12, 2025. The other one, July 9th. Brand new ID cards, 2025. And the Guyanese who came home, the Guyanese who are here, Guyanese living here, who went to GCOM to get the license, and they were told that they couldn't, the ID cards, as a matter of fact, and they were told in June, they were told in July that they cannot get them. How these two get, how two Bangladeshis see nationality Commonwealth? How, that's why they don't want to give us the census information. This is rigging. That's what it is. Because they are disenfranchising Guyanese, born Guyanese, and giving ID cards to foreign nationals. Of course, it's a contract. Quid pro quo. I give you something, you give me back something. So, like the other one here, the Indian national, we have to work this arrangement out where I give you or we give you your driver's license, you give us your vote. These two Bangladeshis, we give you national ID cards, you give us your vote. And I know of many Guyanese who went to GCOM and they were told that they cannot get the ID cards. But that's only for certain communities, though. Because in other communities, brand new ID cards are being issued just a few weeks ago. We are watching them and we shall not stop watching them. Because if I know of Guyanese who came to have their ID cards and were denied the right to have them. Now, what does the law state about Commonwealth nationals? You have to prove that you lived in this country for at least 1 year, a minimum of a year. You don't have to say I've done it. You have to prove that you were living in this country for at least 1 year. And that law has to be changed as soon as this administration goes, because it's not going to work. Guyanese came home since May seeking to get the ID cards and were denied. Guyanese who were living in Guyana, including my child, was told that she couldn't get her ID card. But these have it. That is why, that explains why Anil Nandlal used a word that was never used in Guyana's history during elections. And he said they would not tolerate xenophobia. Xenophobia means to be against someone based on where they're from. So it's not an ethnic difference. It's a geographic difference. Because you're from another country, I'm against you. So Anil used a word that was never used in our history for elections. Over almost 11 electoral processes we've had, cycles, and it was never used. This word xenophobia. The first one is that racist piece of waste. He used it, and he knows why he used it. I am telling Guyanese, it's your right to stand up for your country. It is your right to stand up for your country. This is where the nation is being undermined by political elements, and it is your right to stand up for Guyana. The PP has to stop this. I am compelling you to stop this because it's obvious what we're seeing here. Then I received a call from one of our major chief agents that at East Franville Secondary School, an elector went to cast her vote. She put two X's at the top of the ballot, which would be in for the general and the geographic constituency vote. This elector told the presiding officer that she made a mistake, she made a mistake, and she put two X's at the top of the ballot paper. You wouldn't believe this. Guyanese would not believe this. And the report from our agent is that the Minister of Labor, Joe Hamilton, of course, was right there conversing with the person. The individual was given an eraser, was handed an eraser. That's why they say voted pencil, was given an eraser to erase the ballot. Now let me show y'all, because I could not believe it. So you won't see my face. Let me just show you the law here. Under the Representation of the People Act, ROPA, Chapter 103, a ballot is valid only. You see, Anil said no ballot can be invalidated. Anil the dunce. That's why he's so racist, because he doesn't have much sense. And it said it cannot be an invalid ballot, but the law says a ballot can only be valid. So if the law states, and since 2020 I told Anil this, if the law states that a ballot can only be valid, it means that a ballot can also be invalid. You will answer to Guyanese and tell you that someday you'll have to answer. So on the ROPA, a ballot is only valid if it clearly shows the voter's intention by placing a single X or mark in the box next to the party list of choice. One single X. This elector told the presiding officer she made a mistake. The presiding officer gave her an eraser to erase the ballot, the X. So you may say that's acceptable. Let's see if it's acceptable then. If a voter erases, smudges, or makes multiple marks, which is what the person did, the ballot can be treated as spoiled or rejected, since it may not clearly indicate the voter's intention. So if Anil said the last time, you just have to show the intention. It doesn't have to be any clear mark. Even if it's done in that indentation, yes, count it. Doing the foolish recount nonsense, and when they got to CCJ with Saunders being president. Now, this presiding officer gave an elector an eraser. Our agent objected to it and said you're not supposed to give it. Other agents said you're not supposed to give people erasers. It's a spoiled ballot. They're supposed to be issued with another. The elector said that she needed another ballot. Next point, during voting, if you accidentally spoil your ballot, for example, by erasing or marking incorrectly, you are supposed to return it to the presiding officer before placing it in the ballot box. The officer will issue you a new ballot and mark the spoiled one as cancelled. That's why we shouldn't choose for presiding officers with understanding of law. That's why he deliberately did not select those who understand electoral processes. They don't want that. The Guyana Elections Commission chairman and certain other key players in there do not want, do not desire to have presiding officers who know the law. And listen to it happen in the PNC, as they call it, certain Afro dominant communities. These issues aren't occurring in areas that people claim to be theirs. You remember I said since last week with the distance services, why are you voting with a pencil and not a permanent marker? Why, like a Sharpie, one of those? Why are you not voting with a permanent marker? I asked the question since last week. And people say it's normal. It's not normal. It's normal for Guyana. It's abnormal. Very abnormal. Because the plan was already in place, and the presiding officer told our agent that they always give pencils. What kind of nonsense? Give erasers, but none was issued. So this officer found an eraser to give to somebody. So the SDRO, according to our report, said everything is okay. It cannot be okay. It is never okay for someone to be given an eraser. Never is it okay. My Guyanese brothers and sisters, my Guyanese brothers and sisters, when we see that Guyanese who live here are denied ID cards, Guyanese who came here would have proven that they're Guyanese, proved that they're Guyanese, were denied ID cards. When we see that within the polling booths and stations, presiding officers are facilitating unlawful activities, and coincidentally, a PVP's agent, one who is in the caretaker system, a minister, was coincidentally on site. Coincidentally happened to be there. Something must be taken very, very seriously. The many who would have thought to vote and are being told no, and that's happening only in certain communities. You've been caught red-handed. Because how is it that in certain communities you disenfranchise? So no, you can't vote. In other communities, you overcompensate. So if they disenfranchise 10 in one community, they bring 200 Bangladeshis to vote. I hope you all understand that. That's why they're talking about this landslide story. So they're not allowing certain people to vote in communities that they believe are not their strongholds. And then at their strongholds, they're empowering people to vote beyond even those who are Guyanese. And you telling people that they could vote with a pencil, then a presiding officer wants to tell Guyanese that it is normal for people to have erasers issued during which election? But don't forget that there are certain precedents that were set in 2020. Now, I went to vote, and I'm talking to Anil here because he got caught red-handed today again. In reference to what you told people before. I'm going back to 2020 to show how you got caught red-handed. Because Sanders said that there's nothing like an invalid vote. Okay. As long as something is invalid, makes it a vote. You have to count it. Okay, smart fella. So why is it when I went to GCOM today, when I went to vote, as a matter of fact today, why was there a counterfoil? Why was there when my ballot was being prepared? Why did the presiding officer stamp or write the code on one and the code on another? For general, code on one for regional, code on the other. And then she tore the ballot, gave it to me, and she kept that counter. Why, Anil? Why do that? Because they remember what you said. The box, there could be nothing to accompany or verify or validate a vote in your reason, according to your reasoning. That's what you have told the international community. It doesn't matter. So right now in Guyana, we in an election process where it was established in 2020 that it doesn't matter. There's no need to verify anything. There's no need to have counterfoils or nothing. You just gonna put an X on a paper and go home. Because it doesn't matter. Why are you talking about counterfoils today now? Why issue them? I am going to be on the road. I am going to move around and highlight all day, along with Melissa and others, the wickedness of yours. And I have one more to tell you. I was in Mackenzie High School this morning. Again, I showed my accreditation and asked, and I'm so grateful for those presiding officers who were most welcoming. There was no issue in reference to certain places that I've gone thus far. And I said I'd like to observe the process just for a few minutes to ensure that things are going smoothly. And I did observe. But then I noticed that there is no ramp for those in wheelchairs. There is no braille or brailled ballot for the blind, for the visually impaired. There is no one to give signage to those who are mute, who cannot speak. And I said, what if somebody rolls up here in a wheelchair? How will they get up to vote? Oh, you have to pick them up. I went to a Tukure primary school, and to vote for phasers and the area, you have to go downstairs through sand and then climb up to another sand. So obviously somebody in wheelchair can go there. So if someone is independent and they're seeking to have access to a polling place to cast their vote, Guyana's election commissioner said you are not qualified if you're disabled, if you're differently abled, as I call them. If you're a person with disability who's in a wheelchair, you're not qualified to vote in this country. And if you cannot see, then somebody has to vote for you. And you have to trust somebody else with your future. And I saw when the European Union gave Claudette's entity GCOM 725,000 euros. Just a top up, just to help them to get this right. And my interest is in knowing why would polling stations or places be selected without giving one thought to the fact that there's so many persons in our nation with disabilities. Why would you not even consider them? Do they matter? Because I've observed, and I go on and I highlight every one of them. I've observed that persons with disability, and we saw one of our candidates again for Ghana Movement has been chosen, apparently to fight for the rights of Guyanese across the board here. Why is it? Why is it acceptable? Huh? We have a candidate because there's so much for Ghana movement has an interest in every Guyanese right being represented in the House Assembly. And not to represent you, talk for yourself. So Holly Ann, our candidate, must be able to speak for herself. Who better to talk for you than yourself? Who better to speak for someone with who's better to speak for someone with disability than one who has a disability of some sort or a challenge of some sort? Now imagine showing up to vote for yourself. And G comes says you have to go up the stairs. Or we lift you up the stairs. In London, we roll you down the flight of stairs, through the sand, through the mud. At Mackenzie High School, we have to pick you up. Are we prepared to just go through the motion? Huh? Are we prepared to just go through the motion? So that those who have reached out to me pained because they cannot vote for Ford Ghana movement. Since GCOM said they're not giving them any ID card. So how am I supposed to feel as a prime minister candidate, knowing the persons have expressed the need to vote for Ford Ghana movement, and they told, no, you can't have an ID card. And you see them typing here, look at the comments, because I'm telling the truth. No, you can't have an ID card. They said, no, you can't have it. These are Guyanese. And then today they see this. And look at the date of issue. Look at when the date was. Look at it, the 12th of June. And the other one is worse, the 9th of July. And since May, when Irfan did it, people started saying, I want my ID card. They started trying to get it. And look what happened. I know I commend Anne Ferguson. She kept encouraging Ghanaians, this is the time to go for your ID card, time to stake a claim and all that. And people did that.
So Facebook, interestingly, somebody reported me on Facebook and got blocked. Is it good here? And YouTube has it. So I'll be off.